In this demo, we are going to show you how to deploy a SQL Server availability group on an existing Azure Kubernetes Service cluster using DxOperator by DH2I, the industry's preferred SQL Server operator for Kubernetes. The SQL Server AG deployment will require 3 steps. The first step will involve downloading and installing DxOperator by DH2I onto the AKS cluster. We will use the 2 commands listed on the right side of the screen to download and apply the operator. So now let's go ahead and move over to the command line and download DxOperator. Once downloaded, we can use the kubectl apply command to install DxOperator on the cluster. And with that successful installation, we can move on to our next step. In this second step, we will modify the DxOperator custom resource manifest to specify the details of our desired SQL Server AG. As you can see, the manifest gives us a number of options for how we can configure our SQL Server availability group, such as number of synchronous and asynchronous replicas, whether we would like to create load balancers, and the DX Enterprise and SQL Server containers we will be utilizing. Once we have the manifest script configured to our specifications, we will move on to the final step. So the final step here is executing the script to initiate the DxOperator-led deployment, which configures the SQL Server availability group in seconds. So we will go ahead and apply our custom resource manifest to initiate the creation of the SQL Server availability group. Now, let's go ahead and check on the AKS cluster's resources. We will do that using the kubectl getAll command. So, we can see that the pods for the SQL Server availability group are now running, and load balancers have been created. Now that the availability group is configured, we will access the AG using SQL Server Management Studio and this external IP address from the load balancer on our primary replica. So we will open up SSMS and put in our SA credentials to log into the cluster. Once in SSMS, we go to Always On High Availability, find our current primary, which is named AG1, and open up the dashboard. So there you can see our AG containing 3 replicas. The last thing we need to do to complete this deployment is to actually add a workload. So we are going to add a database called test. As our database is being created, we will go ahead and hit refresh, and then return to the cluster view. You can see that AG0 and AG2 are fully synchronized, and we are just waiting on AG1. So I will hit refresh once more, and there we go. We can now see that our database has been added and synchronized across all 3 of our replicas. That concludes this demo. We used DxOperator by DH2I, the SQL Server operator for Kubernetes, to deploy a SQL Server availability group on an existing Azure Kubernetes Service cluster in 3 easy steps. If you'd like to try out the software yourself, head to dh2i.com and you can download a free software license to get started. Thanks for watching.